My wife won a $10 million lottery, filed for divorce, and thought she could dump me like trash. Until I used the prenup her parents forced me to sign before marriage. You never think it's going to happen to you. You hear stories, people winning the lottery and losing their minds, turning on their loved ones, throwing away everything for a taste of luxury. But Lisa, my wife of 6 years, she wasn't like that. At least, I thought she wasn't. I'm Mark, 36 years old, and for most of our marriage, Lisa and I lived a simple, comfortable life. Nothing extravagant, but we were happy, or so I believed. I worked in architecture, and she bounced between jobs, never really settling on a career. We weren't rich, but we weren't struggling either. Then one day, Lisa won the lottery. $10 million. A single scratch-off ticket from a gas station, and just like that, our lives changed overnight. At first, I was thrilled. We celebrated with champagne at home, dreaming about what we could do with the money. I thought about paying off our mortgage, traveling the world together, securing our future. Lisa? She thought about something entirely different. Within a week, she started acting off. First, it was the subtle things. She stopped talking to me about her plans. She started going out more, spending time with people I'd never even heard of before. Then came the luxury purchases. Designer clothes, spa treatments, expensive jewelry. None of this was normal for her. Then she became distant, cold. She stopped saying, "I love you," before bed. She barely looked at me when we spoke. If I even brought up the lottery money, she brushed me off, saying, "Let's just enjoy life right now, Mark. No need to stress about it." I chalked it up to the excitement of suddenly being rich. I told myself she just needed time to process everything. Then, 1 month after she won, she dropped the bomb. She came home late, tossed her purse on the counter, and sat across from me at the kitchen table. She didn't even look nervous, just impatient. "We need to talk," she said, sliding a thick stack of papers in front of me. I picked them up, flipping through them. Divorce papers. I looked up at her, my throat tightening. "Lisa, what the hell is this?" She sighed, like she was dealing with a slow child. "Mark, this is for the best. You'll be fine. I made sure the lawyers put in a small settlement for you." A small settlement. Like she was doing me a favor. Like I was some inconvenient ex-boyfriend she was throwing scraps to on her way to a better life. I clenched my jaw. "Lisa, we've been together for almost a decade. You don't just throw that away like it's nothing." She scoffed. "Come on, Mark, let's not pretend things haven't changed." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Things only changed when you won the damn lottery. She didn't deny it. Instead, she shrugged and stood up. "I don't want to make this ugly. I'm willing to be fair. Just sign the papers, take the settlement, and move on. This is what I want." She said it like it was already a done deal, like she expected me to just accept it. Lisa thought she had won. She thought she could toss me aside like garbage and walk away with everything. What she didn't know was that this wasn't going to go the way she thought, because she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. I sat there, gripping the divorce papers so hard my knuckles turned white. Lisa had already checked out. She was done, mentally, emotionally, financially, and she thought I'd just sign, walk away with whatever crumbs she threw at me. I wasn't some bitter, vengeful guy, but the sheer audacity of it made my blood boil. After nearly a decade together, she was tossing me aside like yesterday's trash. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay calm. "Lisa, is there someone else?" She actually laughed. "Oh, Mark, don't be dramatic. This has nothing to do with another man." That wasn't a no. I clenched my jaw. "You won $10 million and suddenly I'm not good enough anymore?" Lisa sighed, rolling her eyes. "It's not about that. It's just I want something different now. I don't want to be tied down. I don't want to live the same boring life anymore." I almost laughed in disbelief. Boring? The life we built together was boring now? "I don't get it," I said, shaking my head. "We had plans, Lisa. We were going to buy a house, travel." She cut me off. "I'm still doing all those things, just without you." I stared at her, trying to find even a shred of the woman I married. But she wasn't there anymore. Lisa was gone. And I finally realized this was never about us growing apart. She had been planning this the moment she won. She had already hired lawyers, already moved money into separate accounts, already decided I was disposable. And that's when something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to beg, I wasn't going to plead, but I sure as hell wasn't going to let her get away with this. So I did something that clearly caught her off guard. I smiled. I slid the papers back across the table. You know what, Lisa? You're right. She blinked, surprised at how easily I was giving in. So, you'll sign? I nodded. Of course, but I need some time to have my lawyer look it over, just to make sure it's fair. Lisa's lips pressed into a thin line, but she didn't argue. She thought she had already won. Fine, just don't drag this out, okay? Oh, don't worry, I said, standing up and grabbing my coat. This won't take long. But what Lisa didn't know was that while she had spent the last few weeks plotting her grand escape, she had forgotten one crucial detail: the prenup. The next day, I went straight to my lawyer, a sharp woman named Claire, who didn't take crap from anyone. She flipped through the papers Lisa's lawyers had drawn up, raising an eyebrow. She's offering you 50 grand? I laughed. Yeah, out of 10 million. Claire leaned back in her chair, tapping the papers against her desk. She's trying to cut you off completely. No spousal support, no share of the assets, nothing. I figured, I muttered. But here's the thing. I signed a prenup before we got married. Claire's interest piqued. Do you have a copy of it? I don't, but Lisa's father had it drafted. I bet his lawyers do. Claire smirked. Well then, let's request it. It took less than 24 hours for Claire to get her hands on the prenup, and when she called me back into her office to review it, I could tell something was up by the way she was grinning. Mark, she said, barely containing her excitement, I don't think Lisa actually read this thing before she had you sign it. I frowned, taking the papers from her. What do you mean? Claire pointed to a particular section. This prenup was meant to protect her. Her father's lawyers designed it to ensure that if you ever made more money than Lisa and you divorced, she would get half of whatever you earned. I nodded. Yeah, I figured as much. But here's the problem, for her, Claire continued, flipping a page, this prenup works both ways. I stared at her, my brain working through what she was saying. And then it hit me. Lisa had won $10 million. We were still married, and thanks to the prenup her own parents forced me to sign, I was legally entitled to half of it, $5 million. I let out a low whistle. Holy shit. Claire grinned. Yeah, holy shit. Lisa had spent all this time thinking she was screwing me over, completely oblivious to the fact that she had just signed herself into the biggest mistake of her life. And the best part? She had no idea I knew. I sat in Claire's office, staring at the prenup, letting it all sink in. Lisa thought she was playing me, thought she could toss me aside and move on with her millions. But the irony was almost too perfect. She had set this trap for me years ago, and walked straight into it herself. I ran my fingers over the pages, remembering the day I signed it. Lisa and I had been engaged for about 4 months when her parents first brought it up. We were having dinner at their massive, overpriced home. One of those places designed to impress guests rather than feel lived in. Her father, Richard, sat across from me with his usual thinly veiled disapproval. He was the kind of man who measured people's worth by the number of zeros in their bank account, and to him, I was worthless. Mark, he said, swirling his whiskey, I hope you understand that we must be cautious when it comes to Lisa's future. Lisa shifted uncomfortably beside me, squeezing my hand under the table. Dad. He held up a hand. This isn't personal. It absolutely was. It's just that Lisa comes from a family with substantial assets and we need to ensure that she is protected. Lisa's mother, Eleanor, nodded primly, barely looking at me. We've had a prenup drafted, just a simple precaution. I looked at Lisa, waiting for her to argue, to push back, but she wouldn't even meet my eyes. Mark, it's just to make my parents feel comfortable, she said softly. It doesn't mean anything. I let out a slow breath. So what does it say? Richard smiled, the kind of smile a predator gives its prey, right before the kill. It ensures that if you and Lisa ever divorce, the higher-earning spouse will split their assets 50-50. I frowned. Okay, so if Lisa makes more than me, I get half? Richard actually laughed. Well, that's not really a concern, is it? That was the moment I realized exactly what this was. Lisa's parents assumed I would be the one making more money. They assumed that over time, as I built my career, I'd accumulate wealth they wanted to ensure Lisa could take if she ever decided she was done with me. It was never about protecting Lisa. It was about making sure I didn't walk away with more than they thought I deserved. I should have fought it. I should have walked away. But Lisa's fingers squeezed mine under the table, her eyes pleading. "Please, Mark," she whispered. "It doesn't matter. We're never getting divorced." So, like a lovesick idiot, I signed it. I let out a slow breath, staring at the paper in front of me. Claire tapped the document. Legally, she has no way out of this. The prenup is ironclad. She owes you half of whatever she earned during the marriage. And that lottery money? She smirked. That counts. I couldn't help but laugh. Lisa and her parents had set this trap for me, and now it was snapping shut on her instead. "All right," I said, leaning forward. "Let's play this smart." Claire grinned. "What do you have in mind?" For the next week, I played my part perfectly. Lisa, thinking she had won, was in full gloat mode. She paraded around town like she was already single, posting photos with her new high society friends at expensive restaurants, flaunting her designer shopping sprees. She didn't even bother hiding the fact that she was seeing someone else. Some investment banker douchebag named Ryan. A mutual friend tipped me off, saying Lisa had been spending a lot of time with him even before she filed for divorce. I didn't care. Let her play her little games, because soon I was going to ruin hers. When we met at her lawyer's office to finalize the paperwork, Lisa was practically glowing. She was dressed in an outfit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, oozing confidence. Her lawyer, a smug-looking guy in a $1,000 suit, slid the papers toward me. "If you could just sign here, Mr. Walker, we can make this official." Lisa smiled at me, like she was doing me a favor. "See, Mark? No hard feelings. I made sure you got a little something." I smirked. "Yeah, about that." I reached into my briefcase and pulled out my own set of papers. Lisa frowned. "What's that?" Claire, sitting beside me, grinned. "This, Mrs. Walker, is the prenup you had Mark sign before your wedding." Lisa's smug expression vanished. I leaned back, enjoying the way the blood drained from her face. "Turns out, that little contract you and your parents forced me to sign works both ways." Lisa's lawyer looked through the papers, his expression shifting from confusion to pure panic. "Lisa, did you actually read this?" Lisa's hands clenched in her lap. I don't understand." Claire took over. "It's very simple. Your prenup states that in the event of a divorce, the higher-earning spouse must split their assets 50-50. She paused for effect. "And since you won the lottery while still married to Mark." Lisa's breathing hitched. No, that money is mine." Claire smiled sweetly. "Legally, half of it belongs to Mark." Lisa's entire body went stiff. She turned to her lawyer. "Tell me she's lying." The lawyer shifted uncomfortably, adjusting his tie. "Lisa, legally speaking, she's not." And just like that, the color drained from Lisa's face. She had planned on walking away with everything. But now she owed me $5 million. Lisa looked like she had been slapped. "No," she muttered under her breath, shaking her head. "No, this isn't right." Her hands clutched at the divorce papers like they might somehow change reality. She was unraveling right in front of me. Her lawyer sighed, already knowing this was a losing battle. "Lisa, the prenup is legally binding. If you challenge it, you'll spend years in court, waste a fortune on legal fees, and still probably lose." Lisa turned to me, her face twisted in rage. You're actually going to take half my money?" I smirked. "Half our money, Lisa." Her nostrils flared, and for a moment, I thought she might lunge across the table and claw my eyes out. "This isn't fair," she shrieked. "I won that money. That's my lottery ticket." I shrugged, feigning sympathy. "That's how the law works, babe. You didn't mind when you thought the prenup would work in your favor." Her breathing was erratic now. I could almost hear the wheels in her head turning as she tried to figure out a way out of this. Then she did what she always did when she was cornered. She tried to manipulate me. She softened her tone, blinking rapidly like she was about to cry. "Mark, come on. We were happy once. Do you really want to do this to me?" I raised an eyebrow. "Do what? Take exactly what you were planning to take from me?" She flinched. Bullseye. I stood up, smoothing my suit. "I'll have my lawyer send over the necessary paperwork. You'll transfer the $5 million to my account within 30 days. Her hands slammed onto the table. "And what if I don't?" Claire, my lawyer, leaned forward, her tone deadly calm. "Then we take you to court, where you'll not only lose, but you'll also have to pay additional damages, legal fees, and possibly even spousal support. Lisa let out a strangled noise, like a wounded animal backed into a corner. You did this on purpose, she spat at me. You tricked me into this. I let out a laugh. You and your parents forced me to sign that prenup. I didn't trick anyone. You did this to yourself. Her face twisted in fury, but she knew she was beaten. Checkmate. Lisa didn't give up easily. She tried to delay the payments, tried to find loopholes, but my lawyer shut her down at every turn. Eventually, she had no choice but to comply. 1 month later, $5 million landed in my bank account. And I wasn't done yet. I made sure everyone knew the truth. Lisa had been flaunting her new rich lifestyle all over social media, playing the high society diva, acting like she was untouchable. So I made sure the story got out. I let our mutual friends know exactly why she was suddenly $5 million poorer. I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. I just let the truth spread. Her new social circle, the rich elites she had been desperately trying to impress, they dropped her like a bad investment. And that investment banker boyfriend of hers? Gone. Turns out, he wasn't interested in a woman who had just lost half her fortune in a divorce. Lisa went from high-rolling queen to a cautionary tale overnight. Last I heard, she was trying to sell off the luxury condo she had just bought, desperately trying to salvage what was left of her dwindling fortune. And me? Well, let's just say that I took my half and built the life I actually deserved. Lisa thought she was upgrading her life when she threw me away. Instead, she handed me the best revenge I could have ever asked for. Her money. And I didn't feel a single ounce of guilt taking it.